this period, this emerging, this phoenix type of energy with the eclipse close to Jupiter and yet opposite the sun, Mercury and Mars, it's a bit of a doozy, because the energies, we're living here in one timeline of 2023, but I feel we've got the emerging and ancient echoes of our elders and our ancestors and their dreams and what they left us and what they hoped to see for us.
Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast. And as you know, we are fully in the middle of eclipse season and just days away from the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. And before I get into the most fabulous guest of our show, I just wanted to announce to all of you that I'm actually going to be hosting an online event through Zoom for all of you who are interested in awakening the mystic within you. It's going to be a very shamanic passage through this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. And it's a graduation point for many of us over the last 2 years, as our first Taurus eclipse happened in November of 2021. And for me, that was very much the beginning of becoming an elevated mystic in the work that I had already done into where I am today. And so I am offering you guys an opportunity to awaken your mystic using the energies of these eclipses, which we're going to go into with Mary Dusina right now. But before we do, just know that that is happening on October 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to leave the link in the description below so I don't have to bore you with any more of the details. And we can get into the star of the show, Mary Dusina, my lovely seer, astrologist, Scorpio queen. How are you doing today, my love?
Well, thank you for the sweet spot of words. How nice is that? I'm well. Considering that this October of 2023 is a memory maker. It's one for the books, as they say. It has a bit of a sharp edge. I've been very much concentrating on Israel and looking at the actual dates of incorporation of Israel having that Taurus sign energy, and Palestine having, the scorpionic type of energy with their points of when they were independent, they granted their independence, or their dates of incorporation. Because when you look at celestial signatures, when you look at whether it's a human baby that God allows to be born on the earth at a particular location and date and time, which when you're serious about celestial mechanics, you're looking at the longitude and the latitude and the time of birth. Is it AM or PM? And really to take all the technical gobbledygook away, what your star chart is, because I do always like to speak to beginners and not talk over people's heads, having done this for 40 years, as like Nicole, as a lot of other holistic, herbal, mystical healing applications. That's what it is when it's holistic. You're involving the holy with the realistic, because the holy is the real deal. It's the real medicine. So your astrological or your celestial positions and planets and signs, the start point is when you actually are born, if you're a human, or when a country or a state is incorporated, that becomes its little zodiac sign or its celestial front door. But the Earth, if you think of Earth in a circular ecliptic pattern, the stars above your head, when you were born, it's like a celestial or cosmic photograph, like click, click. And there's the picture of the constellations and where the planets were moving and where was this and where was that. But it's just like a little freeze frame of the positioning. So it becomes what we call a star map. And let me say right off, because I do like to say it at least once every 6 months, astrology is not something that you believe in, like your spiritual choice. It's very much, it's the mechanics, very much like therapy or psychology, or the difference between someone that's empathic and someone that's narcissistic. So what it is it's a toolkit. And if you're fixing something around your house, you're going to want a different kind of tool. If you're going to hang a picture up, you might use a level, you might use a measuring tape, and you might want to get a hammer but to put the little nail in the wall, or you might want to get one of those self-stick hooks. So there's different types of tools that we can implement in life for a variety of different things. If I'm cooking, I might want to add a little less cayenne pepper than I would if I was going to add Celtic or Himalayan salt. So it's about recipes and configurations, and it starts to do like a geometric pattern. Is really what it is. So if you can look at it, it's like, wow, I don't believe in that. I look at people and go, neither do I. I mean, it's a tool that I have studied for 40 years, and I've seen it to be very interesting in looking at repetitive orbits and patterns on Earth. And when, we have 12 months in the year and we have 12 zodiac signs, and when there is an eclipse or a set of eclipses like there is in October of 2023, out of all 12 star signs, the eclipse that happened in middle October, a solar eclipse that a lot of people were talking about across America, starting up in the upper northeast of the Americas. So that was in Libra. So of all the signs, Libra was the star in the spotlight, and it was a new moon, which means that the sun and moon marry, or the sun and the moon joined forces, if you will, the external light, our great star of the sun, and the moon, reflecting the light of the sun, joined forces, joined as one, atonement, at one with each other, emphasizing and spotlighting everything that's supposed to be about the enhancements and the qualities, plus and minus, of the sign of Libra. So what a celestial mechanic does is says, hey, you might want to go look at the Libra people that you know, or you might want to go online and type in your birth date, if you don't want to actually invest in a professional astrologer to help you guide you through your own map, and find out at that new moon at mid-October what happened, where does that light up? So what you do is you take what's happening in the heavens and you see where the spotlight is coming on in your chart. Think of a lighthouse, and a ship is moving along in the fog, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, there's the lighthouse. I can now see through the fog. So the Libra is the sign that was ignited in mid-October. And Libra, just to cut to the chase of the many things that Libra can be, is a focus on our most significant partnerships. It's our SOs. It's our significant others. So in October of 2023, even though that new moons are beginning, launched in the intellectual creative energies of Libra, it's no accident from October into April of 2024, when we have our next big eclipse. It's no accident who we're meeting, who's coming back into our life, whether it's someone that we've known before, we went to school with, or we broke up with, or we divorced, or they went on their path, they moved, or whatever. There's going to be some fated realignments, because I'm naming these eclipses of October the point of emerging, the emerging eclipses, because what we're doing is the first relationship we have is our soul to Mother Nature and to Earth, to the heavens. And so our almighty forces, our supernatural forces, our Father God, Holy Ghost, Almighty I Am, this is the father figure, or this is the yang, or the protector. This is like, there's a lot, you don't see the air that you breathe most of the time, and yet it's there. You don't visually see what happens when you get a dental or a body x-ray, and yet it tells the professional, the specialist, what's going on, an ultrasound or an MRI or a CAT scan. So those of us that speak stars and understand star maps are very much like a mechanic that knows how to look at the schematics and diagnostics of your car. Like, that would be gobbledygook to me, but it fascinates me that they can just plug your car into the machine. It goes, oh, this number means this and this number means that. So if you will, when Nicole and I talk to you, or any other professional celestial mechanic talks to you about the stars, we're pretty much wanting to help you navigate in your earth walk in this earthly life with how you can have some compass points where you can see where the sunrise or the beginnings are going to be emphasized in your life, and at the same time where, although a sunset is beautiful, sometimes it represents the ending of that particular day, and tomorrow there's a new dawning. But we, as they often say in literature and in poetry and in lyrics of songs, a lot of people wake up not knowing that it's going to be their last day on Earth. So I've been particularly concerned over the fact that you look at zodiac signs in the pairs that they are, because there's 12 signs, 6, and they're opposites. So we begin spring with Aries, those are beginnings, and then we come to autumn with the sign of Libra at autumnal equinox. So the eclipses this year bouncing around in the spring signs of Taurus and Aries. You know, we had a full moon in Aries. It was very powerful. It was a new launch of the full moon cycles for it to go through the 12 signs. We talked about that last month, that full moon on September 28th and 29th in the first sign of the zodiac, when we start with number 1, yet to go through 12 months and 12 signs, the September full moon for all of us, now that we're talking in October, at October's full moon, that full moon was about, and now is time to summon the courage to face head on. Aries is the ram, the biblical ram. You know, they when they sound the trumpet in Israel and in the Middle East, it's called the shofar, and it's the ram of Aries. It's the shofar. It's the sounding of the trumpet. And ironically, this whole Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur cycle, they call it the 10 days of awe, the days of atonement between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And so we talked about that a little bit, of how these days of signs and wonders and atonement and strengthening our own principles, our own soul and spiritual discernment to come in alignment with Holy Ghost, to come in alignment with Creator, the Most High, the Almighty I Am, supernatural forces. And I remind you, in this high-tech, I like to touch it, smell it, own it, or I don't believe it, in this high-technical AI BS world out there with social media manipulating you and the propaganda going on, the real supernatural force is the fact that you're breathing your next breath is by divine design. So last month's full moon in Aries is like, where will you embrace, as your soul and your heart and your spirit is guiding you to let go of, or you have to take the form and you have to be willing to transform it now. So if you look back to the end of September up until now, to this full moon that's coming up October 28th, 29th, 30th, there's a 2 to 3 day window on this one, minimum, because it's such a powerful blood moon. Even though it's a partial eclipse, the earth is casting a shadow, and it's in the sign of the garden of life, the food, the land, the land where you choose to live. It doesn't matter if it's a trailer or an apartment or a motorhome or you're camping out in nature. Mother Earth and the land, and the fact that our spirit is in an earthly temple, guided and being navigated by either just our willpower and our need to be right, or allowing that supernatural, those transformative energies and frequencies of the holiest of hosts, your guardian angels, your guides that say level up. No, it's not just that way. Get out of your own way. So from September, the end of September, to now, the end of October, with our second of 2 eclipses in October, this one being in the sign of the bull, part of Ezekiel's vision, there was the vision of Ezekiel, and we have, you know, in the New Testament, we have different, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are the fixed creatures of the eagle and the angel man and the ox and bull and the lion. There's a lot of these creatures mentioned even in different various old versions of the Bible. So now when we start to see suffrage of the innocent. Even though I'm talking to you in the beautiful Smoky Mountains of North America, it doesn't mean I'm not praying. It doesn't mean that I'm not, as a spiritual person, I'm praying for any and all innocents that are caught up in this power play, in these psyops things that go on with, well, I don't like you, that are these rulers of these countries, and, well, I'm going to go bomb you, and I'm going to do this. And so many people I found write it off as, oh, well, the Middle East has been fighting, especially the Gaza Strip, for, just centuries. So it's like an age-old kind of Middle Eastern thing. No, it isn't. There's a different kind of energy when you understand that as we are created as one, we're all Earth citizens. What's happening when there's an earthquake or a horrific hurricane or a power outage or floods or drought, it affects all of us, especially when we talk about this particular, the second of the celestial signs. What kind of tool is Taurus? It's how the food is delivered and getting on our plate. It's who cooks it. It's who grows it. It's the farmers, and it's the cattlemen, and it's the ranchers, and it's the people that do all that work from whatever country they're from to till the garden and take care of the soil and collect the eggs and feed the cows and milk the cows and grow the vegetables, whether they're organic or sprayed with Monsanto Roundup. So there's this whole dynamic that's going to continue to get exposed with what's going on with our food. And we all can sit here in October of 2023 saying, wow, have food prices escalated? And we've heard about the burning of the processing plant since the spring eclipse of 2023. We've heard about all the culling, of the cows and the chickens. So these are things that have to do with not only what we pay at the store, but the truckers, the true grunt workers that carry it from the farms to you, the migrants, the people that are out in the field picking it and planting it and working on it out there for hours and hours on end, and our local gardeners, the Mennonites and the Amish, and the people that are saying, hey, we're still doing it the old-fashioned way. And I see the pendulum over the next year really swinging back the other way to where we're...
Can I just jump in here really quickly, Mary?
Absolutely.
Because it's funny, because in my alchemy program a week and a half ago, we were talking about this lunar eclipse in Taurus, and I was mentioning how, over the last couple of years, we've seen, since the eclipse is in the Taurus Scorpio axis, we've seen the rise, this inflation coming in, especially around our food costs going up, but also oil, right? And gas. And I had this, when we see that it's coming to an end, like I mentioned how it's what we're probably going to see, most likely, not definitively, but most likely we're going to see that inflation start to recede and start to come back. And I actually just this week have noticed, I don't know where it is around anywhere else in the country or whatever country you might be in listening to this podcast, but gas prices have dropped for sure, at least 50 or 60 cents just in the last 2 weeks. And I've noticed my eggs, because eggs just seem to go up in price as you were talking about eggs. Eggs are back down to the regular price this week.
Well, and a lot more people invested in, they bit the bullet. I have several friends that did this, and they actually went and bought well-built chicken coops, and they bought their own chickens because we the people, and they'd never had them before. But we, the people, started to rebel, going, you know what? You want to try to put injections and vaccines and weird chemicals and stuff and start to dilute the food products that we need. I'm in one of the farming areas, but it's like, no, I'm going to go get my own chickens, and I'll spend the money and I'll feed them, and I know exactly what's going into them. And these people are now collecting their eggs, going, wow, it was an initial, bit of a $2,000 minimum cost, but, for 12. But I'm now I don't have to pay, I can sit right here, and if we get a blast of snow or ice, I have my eggs, and I've learned to have a symbiotic relationship. And the main comment that I hear, and I've been around some of these chickens, is, wow, I never knew, like the Native Americans know, the First Nations people, I never knew how smart and intelligent chickens are. So everybody's been kind of taking a deeper dive into or tomatoes, and what's the difference between an heirloom tomato and a hybrid product, and the chickens. And, they just kind of like go get a chicken or order chicken in a restaurant, but they had no real symbiotic relationship with taking care of the chickens, from tiny little chicks up into egg producers. So that's been an interesting, as the First
Well,
Nations.
yeah. And you know what I really love about this idea of, because the eclipses were in, well, like, in that Taurus Scorpio axis, and this final one in Taurus really held them for 2 years, like from November 2021 until now, October 2023. We're looking at almost 2 years. We're looking at 23 months where we had eclipses in Taurus, and as opposed to the 18-19 month kind of range. And what I love about this idea of the food and reconnecting to the land, and maybe getting your hands dirty and putting your hands in the soil and reconnecting with the animals that are providing some of the food, is that it allows us to rebirth that reconnection process to the ceremony of our meals, the ceremony of collecting the food, the harvesting, the alchemy of the cooking. Like, there's just it. We live in a society that's too instant gratification, and it's just, let me push a button and then it's done, or let me just take it out of the food and it's frozen, I'll pop it in the microwave. Like, that it's completely disconnected us from the actual ceremonial process that is important in our daily routines, especially with something that's nourishing our body.
Well, and there's that sweet spot of, remember, we come in this lifetime as infants, when we're born. Actually, as humans are born, they can't dress themselves, they can't feed themselves, they have to be lifted to the mother's breast, or there might need to be a different kind of baby formula, and they can't take care of their own bowel and urinary habits. They're born as like, that they've had an umbilical cord that did everything for them. And so once that's cut, then we come in as still in an earthy body, instead of being fed the liquids and the nutrients and the magnesiums and the calciums from the host mother, we come in really vulnerable. And so the Taurus eclipse that we're coming up with this October, this spans out. This starts a bridge of really deeper connecting with who your tribe is. So there may have been for you a marriage of many years, or different kinds of love interest, or, when you were, playing it light, or versus, your college experiences, trying to figure out who you were in a romantic or emotional or sensual way. But Taurus gets down to business, and Taurus is like, it's time for you to check yourself and realize what are the episodes, the emotional episodes that you can now emerge from through the sacred ways, the sacred ancient ways, the ceremonial things, the ceremonial fires, the drums, the prayers, the releasing it through smoke and fire and great spirit, and I'm very much into the Native American and the indigenous cultures. The drumming ties in with our heartbeat, and the smoke, when you light the fire, this is the transformative way to say, I give it to you, God. I give it to you, Creator. I give it to you, Most High, to take this and take it from me and transform it from me. And let me just say a smudging prayer, one of the many ceremonies that I've done. Let's all just kind of close our eyes for just a second in the chat room, and those of you that are listening to the replay, because eclipses run a minimum span of 6 months. And so this particular eclipse ties back to May of this year, when we had the full moon in Scorpio around middle May, and then these eclipses of October, the one in middle of October spans into April 8th, the big American eclipse of April 8th. It's going to pretty much feature Arkansas and Texas among a few places. But while we think about the Middle East, while we think about Taiwan and China, while we think about the arrogant and the karmic facilitators that are monarchs and kings and queens and rulers and tyrants and dictators and presidents, and step back from the divisiveness of politics, step back from talking at someone and start to go to talking to the great spiritual alchemy, the great I am, and allowing all of us as a collective unit, as Earth citizens with our power and spirit, to call forth ceremonial prayers. So what a smudging prayer is. Some people will light a sage wand. Some people use copal or sweetgrass, again, the herbs of the earth. Some people will burn the Palo Santo stick. Some people will work with the resin of frankincense tears. But the fire, fire cannot exist without oxygen. So we're the earth element, and the rain or our tears or our body fluids ties in with the water element of emotions. But when we go to the ceremonial fire, you think it's just a campfire, but when you're in front of a fire, there's an ancient, mystical, spiritual connection, because we also have electrolytes. We also have a fiery will. We also have fiery desires and passions and angers that motivate us, hopefully constructive and not destructively. So when you take a deep breath, I was taught by many, many sacred teachers, many of the medicine men that I studied with, that when we focus on how we're inhaling and what main thought or request that we bring to spirit, when we take our breath in, when we inhale with intention, this is giving life to what it is that we are wanting to know more about, a revelation that we're seeking, a release from pain. And so when you inhale, when you breathe in, you are summoning and allowing the Almighty I Am, the great spirit forces, the one on high, the creator that works for you. You're beginning to spiritually anchor yourself. And as we pause that and listen to the prayer and feel the prayer I'm about to give you, and when you do smudging, you're smelling the sage, you're smelling the cedar, you're smelling the copal of the sweetgrass. You're beginning to smell it. That's going in as you breathe in through your nose or your mouth as well. And then you hear the prayer, and then you exhale, or you breathe out, or you push away, and you release and let go of what's been bothering you or troubling you on the inside, and you're releasing that out into the invisible, seemingly, atmosphere. And it's blending with the fire smoke, or it's blending with the stars or the breeze or the tree branches. So you're actually releasing it and releasing that need for humans to try to direct or become OCD or ADD and control things. So breathe in. Almighty I am, Almighty I am, Almighty I am, Almighty all that is, Great Spirit, Holy Spirit, Great Mystery. May our hands be cleansed that they create beautiful things. May our feet be cleansed, that they might take us where we most need to go. May our hearts be cleansed, that we might hear its messages more clearly. May our throat be cleansed, that we may speak rightly when words are needed. May our eyes be cleansed, that we might see the signs and wonders of this world, of this life. May this person and this space of who I am and what I am be washed clean by the smoke of the fragrant herbs and plants in the ceremonial fire. And may that same smoke carry our prayers spiraling up to the heavens. Beloved Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, Mother Earth, thank you for the as above, so below. We at this point summon, through great mystery, through our soul star, through all that is involved in creating the will to be in the good that we arrived with at our birth. May that be magnified, and may we pray at this time in unity, in unison, that what's emerging with these eclipses is unity, sovereignty of soul, and peace on earth. May the lights of love protect, shield, and prosper all that are innocent in any situation on our beloved planet Earth. Aho, amen, so be it. Because Taurus is the actual doing of the ceremony, the boots on the ground, the commitment that the soldiers have to make. Yes, they've got families and loved ones and hopes. So, and even in the sense of scripturally, it has to do with where we're like really releasing it up to the Almighty I Am essences here when it's bigger than us. Instead of getting caught up in the horrible images on the news or fighting with someone about their opinion about which side and who's right and wrong and all of that, we release ourselves from that. And this is a full blood moon in the oxen, in the bull, and it reaches its peak illumination. It lasts about 15 to 16 minutes on Saturday, October 28th, on my time zone of Eastern time. It's going to be at 4:24 p.m. So, ancient magi, the wise men, the star watchers from Persia and Babylon and Egypt, going back over into those sacred lands of the Middle East, they watched the comets and the eclipses as portents, as signs and wonders gifted to us from the heavens. God created it all, so God created the heavens. And when we look to the heavens, and we see the stars and the moon and the sun. Well, I don't know anything that I did that has to do with it, but yet it's with me as I walk along this lifetime. So this lunar eclipse, the Magi and the ancient astrologers always said that the rulers or the countries or the places where the eclipses were visible or were incorporated, or if you will, born under those signs that the eclipses were enhancing, the 2 signs out of all 12. Israel is a Taurus. So Libra, the eclipse that happened in mid-October, and this one that's coming up in Taurus, those 2 zodiac signs have a governship of the planet Venus. So it has to do with where's our heart and where's our courage and what are we willing to do to seek more balanced or win-win types of allegiance, alliance. We need mediation, we need negotiations, but it needs to be coming from how do we get the problem solved? And we all know when somebody's got their ego too much involved, they don't give. They don't really want a win-win. They just want their way because they're not thinking about the innocence. They're not thinking about the bigger picture. They've just got a really corrupt ego, and they're into more of the dynamics of the destructive dance. So this lunar eclipse is going to be visible over parts of Europe, Australia, Africa. So look at the continent of Africa and how much that involves the Middle East, North America, South America, Antarctica, and the Indian Ocean. So there's a likely chance, even though it's a partial eclipse, that we're going to be able to see this one. So what happens with it in Taurus is that it's really tangible stuff. It's like, that's my land. My generations have lived here. You can't have it. And whether somebody's trying to grab your land or create firepower, back in September, the full moon that Nicole was talking about, Aries. Aries in Roman and Greek mythology has the rulership of the warrior sign, the planet of Mars. You know, Mars was the warrior when you study Greek and Roman mythology. So as Israel prepares, Taurus, to fight back to the Palestinian or the Iranian or these type of things, we're looking at really ancient cultures in ancient aspects of the world that aren't so interested in what cell phone they have necessarily, but really, is there a bomb going to be over my head tonight? What most people don't realize with Taurus is Taurus also has to do with subterranean type of things. And what people don't realize, like just using the eclipse example of the Gaza Strip, is that there's Christians and there's Jews and there's Islamic, but that tension on that border there, they have like over 300 underground tunnels. The Islamic Hamas have. So this is a tri-level war, whether it's by sea or air, but there's also subterranean. There's tunnels that are going on with this. So it's symbolic for, yeah, and what's going on deep down. So the full moon is illuminating conflicts between our core needs, our security needs. Taurus is all about, how do I feel secure? It's like no matter what crazy kind of day you've had, you come back into your home. And this is where you seek to decompress or to cry or to just calm down or take a bath or have a glass of wine or go to bed. You know, but there's something about, I'm in my cocoon. This is my little comfort cocoon. So Taurus is about transforming the chaos and the crisis and trying to get back on even keel, trying to get your feet you don't want your feet knocked out from under you. Taurus is about, how do I get my feet firmly planted back on the ground? So this event in Taurus is urging us in our personal lives, in our daily lives, who is it around you that you really feel yourself around, that you feel secure around, through simple, tangible things, who you like to sit down and break bread with, who it is that you love to text or talk on the phone with, the neighbor that you get along with better than the others. You know that. Sometimes we want to get to know people in the neighborhood and we just click right away, and in the community. And now what I'm emphasizing is who you meet suddenly. You didn't have any kind of plan when you went to the grocery store or the big box store or the Costco or the restaurant, and fate, kismet, as they call it in the Middle East, something that is fated, or destiny. The Middle Eastern people, whether it's Egypt or Israel or the Sahara, will say it's kismet, it's fate, it was meant to be. So you and I didn't see it coming necessarily, or maybe we even knew the person before in another episode or chapter of our life walk, and here it is 15 years later, 20 years later, and boom, there's someone that we once thought had walked along the path out of our life, and they're coming back in. But the key is there's these big transformations. Sometimes we meet people or we have relationships with people, and we're just not quite in the groove yet, but it was meant to be that we met them, and they go off on their relationships and their journeys and their jobs and their schooling, and they're married to somebody else, or they're dating someone else, or someone, now all of a sudden they're a widow. And what is it? What is that mystery that has them come back in touch with you? What is it that you knew you felt it at the time that you met that friend and said, oh, I feel like I've known this person forever, or like, well, I had different people I dated and loved, but this person etched their name on my cave walls inside of my bones. And so very deep, transformational aha moments and epiphanies are going to be centering very strongly because of Taurus and Scorpio. But don't think that there can't be a crisis of sorts. Now, it could be an epiphany, it can be an aha moment, it can be a crisis of consciousness, or all of a sudden I'm gobsmacked, a sudden awareness of where there's been a lack in our lives, and that gives us the light. When the earth moves off in between the sun and the moon, the earth casts a shadow. All of a sudden, the golden light comes back to really see our core level emotional needs within the context of how this eclipse is happening in the signs. So themes, probabilities, relationships are going to be challenged, broken, or strengthened at this time. Who you're around now, who leaves, and who comes in. The projects that have been going on way too long, the pressures, the I don't want to face that, I don't want to look at that. These eclipses of October are making us cut the toxic ties that we've had with certain people in our life, be it family or be it relational. But it's like Taurus puts its foot down, the bull puts its horns down. The ox is saying, I'm tired of carrying this burden. I've been a work ox. I'm not doing all the work anymore. So eclipses are cosmic explanation points. It's like, boom, we've come to the point of like, we're either in it to win it, or we're going to walk away from each other. So, or I'm going to walk away from this job. I'm not going to do this anymore. And at first it might seem unfair. It might seem that you've worked at a bakery for 10 years. You've got all those skill sets, and all of a sudden there's emotional conflict and personality conflicts, and there's a whole bunch of younger people who've been hired, and they don't like it that you're 45 years old, and they want you to be out of there. They want to have their turn. And that's kind of a crisis point for the person that thought they had really found their niche at that particular store or bakery. And so then it's forcing them, the chaos and the crisis is that person that really thought they had a secure spot. That's the Taurus, the bull energy. This is my pasture. I don't bother anybody. Leave me alone. I'm just eating my grass. So the things we do with the talents and the studies and the skill sets that we have are being asked to be, we got to look at the shadow of it, the minuses of it, in order to get to more of the pluses or the spotlight. So can our discovery be emotionally charged and dramatic? Absolutely. Everything feels bigger and larger than life that comes up emotionally when we have a full moon. And then if I can put it quite simply, a full moon lunar eclipse, a blood moon partial eclipse is like a full moon times 10. So the sun shifts into Scorpio, which is the phoenix, the eagle and the phoenix, on October 23rd. And then within these 4 to 5 days, we start having this opposition of the moon, because at full moons, the sun and moon are opposite. And so full moons are supposed to be times of examining psychologically and spiritually what next really needs to be done to get this balanced or on track, or not just hanging out there. Am I procrastinating emotionally? Am I avoiding what needs to be said or done? So Taurus rules the throat in our physical human body. It's finding our voice, having the courage to speak up, and yet also the graciousness of being able to deeply listen to the other person's needs, the other person's feelings of where they lack security at the job, in the relationship with us. So this is an excellent full moon eclipse to come to terms with maybe fresher, bolder communication styles, how we write it, how we read it, how we say it, and how we hold it, in order to really listen to somebody without having to listen, being ready to respond. So I really feel it's game on for us to be psychologically and spiritually creative to see who is it over the next 5 to 6 months that brings up that enthusiastic fire within us of no matter where I work or who I love or who kisses me goodbye or fixes me my next meal, where is the inspiration in my life right now as I go from 2023 into 2024? And when you look at the word inspired, it's like spirit within you, my in spirit, I am inspired. When you look at the word, what's emerging in my life? Look at the other word that comes from that, an emergency. So when you look at the word emergency, what do I need to see in order for this not to become a crisis emergency? Where am I emerging? And to thine own self be true, physician, heal thyself. Where is it that I may have been avoiding taking responsibility for what haunts me, or where I don't risk my vulnerability, or where I'm too bougie, or I'm the bully, or I'm not letting people get their way. I've got to have my way all the time. We've got to look in the mirror. This is a real look in the mirror psychological time to say, I've got a question for you. As you look at your face in the mirror and you just stand there, answer one question. Are you content? Are you content? Are you okay with how things are in your life? Wherever you're not at peace, wherever you're not serene with your response or their response, that's the point to say, I call in my higher holy sources, reveal to me, whether it's through your dreams or prayers or ceremony or walking your hike in nature or sitting by the ocean. Great Spirit, Holy Spirit, come into me. I give this up to you. I'm asking for supernatural assistance. And that's why we have those dreams. And that's why we get grumpy. And that's why we call into podcast shows and we say, hey, could you give me some inspirational, intuitive moments? Could you tell me what this dream means? Or tell me what this color means? Or can you help me get out of this entangled spider web of stress? I would just love to talk to a therapist or a holistic mystic that could be able to tell me maybe some herbs could help me, maybe what would help me with my sleep, or whatever it is that could, wherever you're stuck, wherever you're spinning around in circles, I promise you, these eclipses are going to do that. It's going to be an inside out type of transformation. So through your outer events, through the news, through the circumstances, during this eclipse going toward April, and April will be here before you know it in 2024, look at who you lost this year. Look at who walked away. Look at where you walked away. Look at what chapters needed to close. And at the time, we might have thought, oh my God, that's so painful. I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to help them. And all of a sudden, when you at least ask, and ye shall receive. So I think that people with their little cell phones and their social media and their this or that, and they can look it up on DuckDuckGo or go to Rumble or Google or whatever. I think the pendulum is swinging back to our indigenous, our elders, our ancestors, and they're saying, and when's the last time you went out under the moon and you went out under the stars? Don't get complacent about a peaceful filled sky out there, because some people on this planet are experiencing bombs over their head. They're not experiencing, don't take for granted that sunrise or the stars or the moon or the beautiful autumn leaves. Get out there and thank the Creator for that. And as you're thanking for the peace that might be arriving in your world and the resolving of your conflicts, be it body illnesses or challenges or mental stresses or spiritual epiphanies or stresses you're going through, then take a moment and pray for the rest of the people in this world that you want there to be peace over there as well. Because if you don't think it couldn't visit us in our backyard, don't get so arrogant. Don't get so arrogant. We're at a precipice point right now where we need to remember that whoever's alive right now, we're connected by heart, by creature status. We all are connected as humans. We are people and mammals on this planet, just like every tiger or every jaguar or every bird. They've got a life cycle. And so how other birds don't fight and eat, and the deer will find a way to eat with the possum, because I do a lot of nature work. I deal with a lot of wild animals. I'm definitely an animal telepath. So I'm telling you, nature will talk to you, the sky will talk to you, and very little people, because they're so focused on what's going on politically, not me, very few people realize there's a comet. If you go on the internet, there's this comet 12P that's also showed up. The first, there was a comet Nishimura that a Japanese amateur amateur astronomer found back in August of this year. But this comet 12P, look it up later, it had 2 explosions, one in August and one around September 17th of this year in 2023, this year, right before the eclipses. And what's happening is, what they're saying on the internet is it exploded, but it's a volcanic comet that has an ice volcano. And in studying this, I'm like, that's so fascinating. I didn't really know about ice volcanoes. I know about fire volcanoes and lava volcanoes, but no, it's ice. And they keep saying this comet, when you go to space.com or nasa.gov or JPL, the comet looks like it's grown horns. It's really freaky. It's like looking like a spaceship. Well, this very comet is going to be visible to the naked eye by the 3rd week of April 2024. So this astrologer, this person that looks at the stars and the skies and the constellations, I know when there's dual eclipses, I'm going to be studying for the other things that streak across the sky called meteors and comets. So do yourself a favor. Don't go into panic or anything, but it's bigger than, it's like huge. It's bigger than Mount Everest. And so, and it's traveling, and it's got like a 70-year orbit kind of a thing, but it's going to be visible to Mother Earth with the naked eye, not telescopes, not binoculars, by the 3rd week of April 2024, when there's another alignment with the bull, with the, just like this eclipse. You know, we've got this eclipse, and the sweet spot of this eclipse is that it's configuring up, you know, this lunar eclipse is close to the most auspicious planet, Jupiter, which back in Greek and Roman mythology, Jupiter was known as Zeus, Z-E-U-S. You studied it in school, Zeus. And Zeus was like the head guy in the Greek mythological, you know, pantheon. Zeus was like telling all the other ones what to do and to report back to him. So Zeus, or Jupiter, or Thor, is where this eclipse is it's opposite the sun, but the planet Mercury, which was the messenger, and Mars, which is the warrior, they're bouncing around in this Scorpio. Scorpio's the balance sign to Taurus, and the sun's going in Scorpio, and Mars is in Scorpio, and Mercury's going to travel in Scorpio. So when you look at just the symbol, Scorpio is the phoenix that rises. It has a spontaneous combustion. It like boom, goes into its own fire, and it rises from the flames. It ascends. Again, we're going to the heavens with the phoenix, the ancient symbolic a bird that we have, the phoenix. So we've got this phoenix energy saying, you know what? You may feel like this situation's too hot. You may feel like this situation burns you. You may feel like that you go into some kind of self-destructive mode in this relationship or in this job. And maybe the phoenix is saying, let it burn, go. Let yourself go away from that. Your time there is done. I think that humans resist change. Animals just have to deal with it. Either something's stalking them as a predator, or they found a burrow or a cave to go hide in for the colder months. I mean, animals have to, you know, my dad reminded me of that. He said, you know, birds have to hunt every day to eat. Squirrels and birds out there in nature, nature's all pretty and we all love it, but she's a harsh mistress sometimes too. So if the bird doesn't find food on the ground, or bugs or seeds or whatever seasonally, it gets weak and it can die. Its little feet can freeze on the phone wire if it doesn't find shelter. So I like feeding nature's creatures because I'm just one of them too. So I don't have an arrogance about my position on my beloved Mother Nature, my Mother Earth. I don't take her for granted, because Spirit breathes life into me. My God, Great Spirit, the Most High, animated my earth body, but I have an earth body with bones and organs and systems that function that I'm not controlling. It's a supernatural thing. So why not go back to our base of power in a sacred spiritual way and say, Lord, help me. I give it to you. Great Spirit, let me go out in nature and have my ceremony and have those herbs and do this or that. And maybe I just need to get out of my own arrogant head and stop thinking that I'm the be all, end it all. And maybe I need to realize not only my congruency in this planet, in my life, but it's temporary. You know, we're spirit that slips on skin to walk this world for a while.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go back into that when you're talking about the phoenix and the rising, the ashes, and this kind of rebirth, because that's very scorpionic energy. And this idea that you are getting this keyword of the emerging with these eclipses, and that there's also, you were mentioning earlier, way earlier in the show, this memory maker, because I feel like with this particular eclipse, one, like I said, it's the final eclipse in Taurus after 2 years
Yep.
of eclipses in Taurus. And so there is this kind of graduation point that is occurring here for a lot of us. And what I think is so interesting is how there is this, to me, I feel very strongly this very deep mystical element with Mercury, the Sun, Mars, in Scorpio, opposing the Moon, which also loves to be in Taurus, and you've got Jupiter in Taurus opposing
Yep.
Mercury and Mars, and Jupiter, the teacher, the wisdom, the knowledge that has come through, what has come through over these 2 years for you. Can we just talk a little bit more about what you're getting with this emerging, and also the relationship to the Phoenix energy, because that feels really important and poignant.
I believe just as planets have different varying rates of speed and orbits, like the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. You can see that in the Farmer's Almanac or any old-fashioned drugstore calendar. Farmers plant by the moon. That's very Taurian. They go by which signs seem to be more barren and which seem to be more fruitful. So the 2 years to 18, 19 and a half months you're talking about, stretching out, we've had an emphasis on the energies of the earth sign of Taurus and the water sign of Scorpio. So earth and water in celestial terms and in planting terms are the most fruitful because you have enough water, or you have the earth, the seeds going into the fertile ground. Now we're moving into Aries, Libra. So we're going into fiery, combustible type of things. And Libra, having to do with Libra, the zodiac sign of Libra isn't a creature and it's not a human. It's just the scales of justice. If anything, it goes back to Egypt, and it's the weighing of the heart with a feather, with the Egyptian deity called Ma'at, weighing when the person dies, they weigh the heart with the feather to see if it was a good soul, and then they get to progress into the upper realms. This period, this emerging, this Phoenix type of energy with the eclipse close to Jupiter and yet opposite the Sun, Mercury and Mars, it's a bit of a doozy because the energies, we're living here in one timeline of 2023, but I feel we've got the emerging and ancient echoes of our elders and our ancestors and their dreams and what they left us and what they hoped to see for us. They went through wars. They went through famines. They went through shortages. Our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they went through World War I and World War II and the Great Depression and Black Friday. They've gone through these challenges as well. If we're talking and you're listening to me now, we went through 2020. When's the last time the entire world was shut down because of a bio event? So we are history makers right now. So how we're dealing with our lovers and our friends and our grandparents and that are still here on the earth side, and our children and other people's children, and how we are now the teachers of the never-ending circle of life. This is a time where it may be difficult for us to let things go and move on. That's difficult for Taurus. When Taurus gets invested emotionally and physically, it's hard for them to let go. It's like they want to find the secure anchor. The Scorpio energies are, you know what? I may have to burn this bridge and never go back. So we've got these extremes psychologically of like, who is my ride or die? Who is my person that I feel I know I can let my hair down and it's got my back? Who is, whether we always get along or not, we may agree to disagree, but that's a safe person. That's a nice spiritual, psychological anchor. That's my rabbi. That's my preacher. That's my medicine man. That's my meditation. Oh, I love that song. Taurus is also, speaking of emerging, I would suggest you, there's a couple of songs that I would suggest you. Now, I'll tell you the first one, to me, even though it's meant to be a spiritual raising of consciousness song, even the lyrics, to me, it also would be the most incredible wedding song or the most incredible ceremony of togetherness song if you took it in that context. But it's meant to be more of your connection with the sacred and the almighty. And one of those is by King and Country, and it's called Love Me Like I Am. The second one that is one of the most powerful, affirming, like the lyrics are literally could be whispered or sung with strength, is a song called Waymaker. And I just believe it fits this emerging energy of the eclipses, where maybe we can stay out of emergencies or crisis points that force us to change. And even when you whisper the lyrics of it, and I would suggest that when you look up on YouTube, for example, Waymaker by Leland, go to the live version and look at the crowd, at the babies putting their hands up and the younger people and the silver-haired people, and really look at those words. Even though I don't see it, you are the Waymaker, you are the promise keeper, Waymaker, Almighty I am, and just feel that go through all your energy centers. Breathe it in. Go to sleep with it. Just set your phone to put that song on, or Love Me Like I Am by King and Country. The other one is Waymaker by Lee. Oh, they'll pop up. They've got like millions of viewers. And just look at the words. Taurus is about the song of the soul. And when you have your soul is in harmony and it's singing, and I'm in this body and I'm using my throat and I'm using my voice and I'm using my God-gifted eyes and I'm looking at the words instead of the destruction on the news. And believe me, I'm not in denial. I'm not avoiding and pushing away what's going on. But in my little corner of the mountains here, if I can sing like ancient cultures chanted, they beat the drum. But if I can sing songs that have nothing destructive or hurtful in them, and just see it encompassing my Mother Earth and seeing it going up to the sky and raining back down to the earth with peaceful resolve, then I am an earthly antenna. You know, what kind of antenna, what kind of satellite do you want to be? Part of being holistic, part of being a mystic, which means that you're going to align your soul's purpose with your physical actions of your mind, your beliefs. You're going to walk the walk. You're not just going to talk it and be yet another preacher, yet another evangelist, yet another astrologer, yet another, the prophets speak. You know, it's not for applause and grandeur and attention. It's about Taurus and Scorpio, about where's your roots, man? What do you really believe? What are you willing to stand up for? Where's your voice? What do you stand for? But you standing up for you doesn't mean everybody has got to agree with you. But where we can agree is, oh, that's an interesting perspective, Nicole. Oh, thank you, audience, listener. That was really good. Thank you for that. When we come together, well, you know, there's an old saying. There's an old saying that says, divided we fall, together we stand. So that's what the core of this time period of October is. Where do you stand instead of letting the media and AI and all of those things start messing with your decision? Go to your soul, get quiet, go into your heart, get with the people that you feel peaceful with in your community, in your neighborhood, at the retreats, like Nicole just did a transformative retreat. Now is the time to not get caught up in the uber crowded cities and the stadiums and just pretend there's not stuff going on in the world and go see a football game. Is there anything wrong with the soccer match or the football game? No. And I know you're just wanting to go out there and have some fun and forget it all and enjoy your life. I get it. The music concert, I get it. Today, just as I was going to town to do a little bitty quick lunch and to go to a little, we only have one grocery store here really, to go in there, all the traffic was backed up. And I'm like, wow, on the highway of my life, everything has gotten congested. Isn't this interesting? So there literally was no, you weren't going anywhere. You had to turn around because the little 2-lane highway was blocked up. So I assumed could be an accident. When I got to the little country restaurant, little mom and pop restaurant, I said, wow, I had to take a back way. I didn't even know. It was like, oh, there was really a 1-lane road. It was really kind of like an interesting trek to do that because I didn't really know where I was going. And no, I didn't set my smartphone to figure it out. I just wanted to take the adventure because it was chaotic and it was crisis and it was like, you know. And then when I got to the little place, by learning a new back road that took me out of my normal comfort zone, Taurus is about our habits. So it took me on some kind of a like adventure. When I got there, I said, wow, I have never seen the traffic backed up like this. And there was a guy that had his computer open. He said, yeah, there was a guy coming out of Coker Creek and his truck caught on fire. And I said, oh my gosh, is everybody okay? And he said, yeah, he walked away from it, but it was the freakiest thing. His truck just burst on fire. That's an eclipse. That's a Phoenix moment. That man did not wake up today thinking his truck was going to catch on fire and he was going to have to walk over into the field going, what the heck? I hope nobody gets hurt. So you can snap your fingers and things can happen so rapid fire. Again, fire, Phoenix, rapid fire when we're going through these world eruptions. You know, there's eruptions of our personality. There's eruptions of our anger. There's eruptions of our are being a right fighter. I'll fight in order to be right instead of fighting to get it right for all parties concerned. And this is going to be especially true, these eclipses, if your birthday falls between January 20th to 30th, April 20th to 30th, July 23rd through August the 3rd, or October 23rd to November the 3rd. These are the key points. If any of you out there are born during that time, those are the key points that are getting triggered by this particular Taurus Scorpio type of dynamic. So I guess I'll conclude that, Nicole, by saying the emerging is this lunar eclipse in Taurus is seeing our shadow in the inner world. Like being willing to say, where might I have had a haunting dysfunction that's either haunted me, either people have done it to me or I've done it back to them, but I see this pattern and I really just don't want to be caught up in this soup of frustrating emotions about finances or my relationship. And why do I keep putting up with what I know I don't want to put up with anymore? And what it does is it invokes our fear. I'm scared to get out of this relationship. We've invested time and money. I'm scared how it'll affect the kids. Oh, I'm scared about that medical report. Okay, feel the fear, and then how are you going to start to alchemize that? Where are you going to go with your soul anchor? Life storms are going to happen. I don't know where anybody's born thinking, I'll never have a life storm. I'll never have a psychological, collapse. I'll never have something that just backs my back up against the wall going, what am I going to do now? Whether it's financial or emotional, or a parent dies too soon, or somebody wasn't fair to you and your family, you had an abuser. All of us have these haunts of our past that as Phoenix, we can burn that. We can literally burn that psychologically and spiritually and say, I am not caught up in your toxic spider web anymore. The spider either spins the web around its prey and eats it later, or it kicks it out of the web. Or are you the spider?
And I would like to say, too, that pay attention to what happens with this eclipse. And of course, you don't get all the details on an eclipse. It starts to reveal itself over time. But Jupiter, which is conjunct the moon, what is it, 6 degrees away from the moon, it's going to be at the end of December and into early January. It's going to be reactivating this eclipse for you because it's going to station direct exactly at 5 degrees of Taurus, where this full moon eclipse is happening. And so something is going to be also activated for you towards the last half of December into early January, where you're going to really start to see Jupiter starting to come forward and expand this and start to move things forward. Hopefully in a benefic way.
You got to remember this, the moon, like you said, the moon is, of all the signs, of all the 12 signs the moon can be in, it's happiest when it's doing something bigger than usual in its home sign of Cancer, the crab, the ocean crab, or when it's in exalted in the sign of Taurus. So the visual is when you're going past the cow field and there's bulls and there's cows and there's calves, and every time you drive by it, they're just eating the hay or they're eating the grass. They're not bothering anybody. It's not a predator animal. Now go into that pasture where there's the baby bulls or the baby cows and there's a bull in that field and you're a human and you're walking into its pasture, to its domain. You're coming into its world. Yeah, either the cows will run, the calves will run, but the bull will turn around and look at you. Really? Do you feel lucky? Because at that point, you've now disturbed the normal, I don't bother anybody 24/7. I've got a bunch of stomachs here. I'm just eating. You're going to snack on me later. But let me tell you, while I'm alive and I'm in this pasture, don't mess with the cow and don't mess with the babies, because I'm going to come at you. I'm going to put my horns down. And an average bull is 1,800 to 2,000 pounds. It's going to come at you. So that's why the bull's saying, we didn't need to meet today. So that's where we can, and look at stock markets. Is it a bull or is it a bear? Market is how they describe that. So I really want to keep emphasizing, people did all these 23andMe and these DNA kits about 5 years ago. That was really popular, to go find out what your heritage is, and the leaps and locks and unlock what your ancestry.com and all that kind of stuff. But when you do these ancient cleansing prayers. You know, like I was looking at YouTube the other night and I'm like, I've got Scottish in my, I'm going to go look up Celtic thunder. And when I just watch these Scottish and Irish gentlemen start singing these old songs, I could just feel something, again, Taurus, sound, music, ancient cultures. When's the last time you listened to a Scottish song? And I'm talking about other than Danny Boy. When's the last time that you really went on YouTube and typed in shamanic music or ancient Native American interpretations of the eclipse? There's one on YouTube that's popular right now about what the Navajos are saying about the eclipse, what the Hopi believes. What are the Kachinas out west? Let's start going back into the original. If you live in this country, go back into the First Nations. They lived here, we invaded. The whites, the Europeans, we invaded Turtle Island, as they call it. We came here and we invaded. Taurus is about how deep are your roots? What strengths can you get from your roots? So it's like one of the things I say, and I will be saying on my third floor deck when I go out under the sky, Great Spirit, I ask to free myself of lower vibrational energies during this blood moon lunar eclipse. I've already written it the other day. I am ready for a change that ushers in stability across all areas of this life, financial stability, as well as stability within my relationships, with my loved ones, with my family, and professionally. I know I'm being guided. And I remind myself of this when challenges arise, knowing that you are by my side, Great Spirit, Almighty I am. Thank you for the growth. Thank you for the transformation. I'm ready for it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it.
Mm-hmm. I really
So
feel that one, Mary.
Out.
I
feel
you
that.
Reach
out.
Yeah, yep. Because it really is. I felt that need for security, like that stability, that all of that really starting to bubble up to the surface in like, what's the final thing? Because it just seems like obviously we've gone through very unstable times over the last few years. And I feel it in my own bones, but I'm in your, just from listening to your prayer there, I'm wondering for those of you in the audience too, are you feeling it? Like, are you done feeling like you're in this kind of constant flux? And yes, we need to go with the flow and there's going to be always ups and downs, but it just seems like there's a part of us that wants to put those roots down, that wants the stability, that needs some time to catch our breath through a lot of the upheaval that has come through over the last few years.
Well, Nicole, when we do these monthly full moon things, this one is different. This isn't just about, hi, I'm an Aries, how's it going to affect me? Hi, I'm a Sagittarius, where does it hit me? This Taurus full moon takes us back to the core of survival. So all of us are affected by it. The Taurus full moon is also known, even if it wasn't an eclipse, when it comes up every year, when the sun is moving through Scorpio, and the dates change, but not the signs, when it's the hunter's moon. So the Taurus full moon is also known by ancient cultures as the hunter's moon due to indigenous people utilizing this time of the year and this moon during these months to hunt and forage food for the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. So hunting, that whole process of hunting, whether it's turkey or a bear or a wild boar or a deer, hunting brings in the element of earth, which is Taurus. What is it on earth that I'm going to buy food prep from? We're not talking about DoorDash here. We're taking an Uber. I'm talking about if your power went down. And I'm not talking about getting caught up in fear. If your power went down because of a hurricane or an ice storm and you're waiting for the highways to clear up or the interstate not to be jammed so relief can come in from whoever. But what are you doing to make sure that, Taurus is about, I feel more secure when I've got those extra items in my pantry. When I lived in Florida, you bet your butt I was prepared before hurricane season. I had animals, I had cats, I had a dog. So I filled my pantry with distilled water, and I had extra, I bought dry goods. I bought crackers, and I bought, healthy cookies and things that, this is before we had all this peak and prepper food and all that kind of stuff. And I made sure that I had cans of soup or the particular beans that I liked or whatever, that I could just pop open a can of my favorite jelly or whatever it was that was shelf stable. That's Taurus. A lot of people can. They take it even deeper than me. And so many people since September are canning and putting up goods, especially around here when you get in the mountains. So the second zodiac sign, Taurus, is the epitome of what gives you peace, what makes you sit in your home and feel secure, and all things in this material world. Taurus follows the first sign of Aries, providing us a necessary grounding from the high-powered, fiery energy of the sign that we had last month. So instead of the hasty, explosive, fiery events that an Aries full moon can bring, look at all that's happened in the world since September 28th. Go look at it. Go look at everything that's happened since September 28th to where we're talking here by October 28th. So the Taurian bull is more stoic. It takes a moment before acting. It takes the pregnant pause. It stands steadfastly on the ground. Taurus is what's going to make the fertile soil that has weeded out the dead, dry roots, what's going to create that oasis, what we call tilling the field. And, a farmer will let one area of his garden rest for a couple of years and he plants the other side. So there's a science to that. There's a growing, harvesting. The leaf comes out in spring, and the Taurus time of the year, we have the trees being planted and the beautiful leaves and the blossoms are happening. And now all around the roads here in the Smoky Mountains, there's the acorns and what we call the mash. The nut mash is falling, the chestnuts, the green walnuts, and the squirrels are crazy in September and October. And you catch them running across the roads really fast with these nuts in their mouth. Nature is filled with signs and wonders to behold. Going up in the tree, they're building their nest. I see them. They're putting the nuts in there. The crows are taking the food. They're not just eating it. They're going and they're stuffing it up in their nest because they know when the first frost is coming. The copperheads are most active here in Tennessee in both April and the Taurus time, and they're having their babies now. That's dangerous. It's a viper in September and October. So all these tourists that come in, I'm going to go walk and hike in Sevierville and Gatlinburg. Yeah, it's copperhead season there, bitch. I mean, and the babies are born with all the venom and the poison that they need, and they just strike willy-nilly because they don't know yet. So until there's first frost, this is a high-level kind of Scorpio-ish, in a will, a snake. The snake, the viper's biting you, and it's venom and it's poison. So Taurus is saying, slow down. Don't just put on your hiking boots or your flip-flops and go stomping out in the mountains because there's a different seasonal shift that's going right now. So take that pregnant pause before just charging out into nature, because Mother Nature she'll bring you up by the short hairs. So right now, during this time, it's good to have a delectable, savory meal. It's good to break bread with the people that you enjoy socializing with. Taurus is a social sign. It's wonderful to make your favorite cake or your casserole or go to a soup place. And, in autumn in the mountains, it's all about, we're developing our squashes and our pumpkins, and we're thinking about Thanksgiving. We're coming into the foodie holidays, and I have never met a Taurus person in my life, male or female, that didn't have very dominant, distinctive taste about what they wanted in food. I don't care if it's fast food.
Let me just tell you, from this Taurus to you, Mary, and all of you in the audience, since we are talking about food and we never let an opportunity of food go to waste on this show, I'm going to give you, as you're speaking about squash there, I'm going to give you all a recipe for that comfort that's going to make you feel cozy and secure and all great. The Taurian energy. I'm going to give you a really quick recipe on one of my favorite soups, and I made it for everyone who is at the Forbidden Journey retreat. It's a roasted butternut squash soup, and it's super easy. This is so easy, and all you have to do is you peel and you chop up a butternut squash, throw it on a roasting pan. You're going to chop up a couple carrots, chop up maybe half an onion, and a couple celery stalks. Chop that all up, throw it on the pan. And you're going to also throw on maybe 6 to 8, 10 cloves of garlic whole. You're going to toss all that in olive oil, salt, and pepper, and you're going to throw in some fresh sage, some fresh rosemary, some fresh thyme. You roast that in the oven until it's nice and soft, 20 to 30 minutes at maybe 400 Fahrenheit. And then you take it out, you throw it in a pot, put some chicken broth on there or vegetable stock, whatever you prefer, and you blend it with a handheld blender. After 15 to 20 minutes of just sitting in the stock, it's done. It is one of the tastiest butternut squash soups you have ever had, and it's so easy. And I'm telling you, you will have comfort. You will feel the energy of Taurus alive in your body during this eclipse.
And it's so healthy, and that's very holistic. I mean, holistic is spirit, mind, and body. So when you take the time to put your energies and your spirit and your joy, and like, ooh, I'm Nicole, and I found this great recipe, and I tested it myself, and I'm happy to share it with everybody because I know it's an elixir. It's an alchemical boost to your system. It's full of health and wealth. Garlic, is anti-parasitic, and it builds the immune system. And rosemary enhances the memory. It's very pleasant to the senses, and you're looking at the rich vibrancy of the yellow orange and the orange. I know there's purple and white carrots, folks. I know that. But you're looking at basically your orange carrots, the autumn colors. So it's like a fire soup. It's like a fire soup, but yet it's got such a smoothness to it and a savoriness to it because it's a butternut squash. And so, yes, it's in the squash kingdom, but what it's doing is it becomes a comfort food, and it becomes, when it's shared with a group of people that are studying together, praying together, tribing together, it starts to let you know people that you never met before or people that you're meeting for the first time, and you turn around and go, oh my God, of all the people I've met in my life thus far, whatever age you are in 2023, I got to tell you, there's some pretty powerful people that I'm connecting up with this autumn. That's the signature of the eclipses. Who's coming in and who's just going away for a while, or maybe their purpose in your life is just over. And to stay in your life, if there's been an ongoing conflict in that partnership, or they've had a health crisis, maybe the health crisis was what brought everybody around to appreciate that person while they're on the mend, or if they even transition. Scorpio is also the sign of death. It's also the sign of the death of that job, the death of that car. Maybe an animal or a person dies, and what all comes up within us when someone that we care about, be it animal, bird, fish, or person, when they transition, when they die, whether it's expected or an unexpected chaotic event. I can tell you, every year when the sun goes into the 8th sign of the zodiac of Scorpio, from the 3rd week of October up until the 3rd week of November, what needs to end, what needs to be looked at and transformed and potentially let go of, needs to happen. And that's what the theme of Scorpio is. So when you throw a lunar eclipse into the mix, it really starts to make things interesting. So there will be transformative energy, whether it's an easy letting go or, it's time. It's time. So remember, it's Earth casting a shadow on the moon. So it's going to create an awe-inspiring visual, the way the hues happen, and it lights up the night sky and all of that. But at the same time, I guess with Taurus, when it comes to the material world as well, I want to say, how are you spending your energy? You don't want to spend money that you don't want to spend. So you've also got to look at how you're spending and investing your vital force energies, how you think and how you speak and who you let drain your energy. So is it time to liquidate certain people, places, or things, or is it time to prioritize and invest more study, more time, more dialogue into certain people, places, or things? So Taurus is about, what's its worth. And often with Taurus or Scorpio energies, I say to people, oh my God, I've been dealing with this same crap in my relationship for too long. And I'll say, at what cost? At what price are you willing to pay for your health and your wellness? Why are you giving that much energy to that person that time and time again, according to your words and your feelings, is very toxic for you? So if it's toxic for you, it's not easy for them either. So if you can't get to that point of reckoning with each other, then why are you trying to force the square peg into the round hole? That's what eclipses show us. It's like, really, how long are you going to keep this? It's like the hamster in the wheel. The hamster may not know, it just may know that it's fun to spin around in its little caged wheel. But when you're a human, you're limiting your options. And when you look at what scripture that my guides gave me for this was Romans, the spirit of Romans 15, verse 13. And it's like, I pray that God, who gives hope, will bless you with complete happiness and peace because of your faith. And may the power of the Holy Spirit fill you with hope. So Taurus is about renewed hope. It's about, this life has many, many rich moments. This life has so many things that we can get complacent about to be grateful for. And I just believe when we start out the day with gratitude. I believe gratitude, like I begin my mornings, and I'm always amused by the rescue dog that I have, because she's just, every time a dog wakes up, they're just like, I'm happy that I get to wake up and I get to go outside and pee, and then you're going to feed me and you're going to pet me, and it's cooler weather. I get to ride in the car. It's like, wee, dogs greet the day with like a yippee. I don't know a lot of humans that do that. They're like, I got to have coffee. Oh my God, I got to go to the jog. So one of the things that I do when I first wake up and I watch my dog's like, wee, and it's wagging its tail, is I say, God, I'm thanking you before it even happens. I'm thanking you before it even happens.
I like that a lot. Yep. That's great, because that is confirming it's already happened. That's acting
spirit into motion. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And speaking of, because I would like us to get into the sign by sign, but before we do that, I think that's a perfect thing what you just said. I did pull a card earlier before we started for this full moon lunar eclipse, and I'll show for everyone who's on the video right now. And I pulled the card Stars in the Sky, Limitless Possibility. And this is about the limitless possibility and embracing opportunity. So when you look up into the velvety dark blanket of the night sky covering the vast expanse of space, can you count all the stars twinkling above? Can you imagine that you are only glimpsing a teeny sliver of what is actually there? This is the domain of limitless possibility, of the never-ending sea of potential that you yourself are made of and have now at your disposal. Your life right now is alive with possibility and needs your clear focus to home in on what avenue of exploration most calls to you. It's time to choose and not be distracted by the sheer magnitude of what may be. Be here now. Gather your thoughts and your most cherished dreams. Focus on the brightest star in your never-ending sky and take small steps, small movements, which is very Taurian energy, towards calling this glittering potential into reality. If you can imagine this and hold that vision, you will summon all the celestial helpers and guides to aid you in bringing it into fruition. Keep your focus on the essence of potential rather than the form of it. The universe has its own ideas of how best to serve you and all of us at the same time. Trust this as fact rather than theory, and you ought not act surprised when your dreams come true, for they surely will, exactly how you need them to.
That's wonderful. When I was a child, I would sit out under the stars a lot. That's really pretty. And my engineering father, who worked at NASA in Oak Ridge, would come out and goes, "What are you doing, Mary? What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm just gazing at my friends up in the heavens." And he said, "Well, what are you doing though? Are you doing something? Or are you just, what are you thinking? What are you doing?" Because, engineering minds, they want to know, inquiring minds, they want to know. And I said, "Oh, I'm throwing my wishes into the night and I'm waiting for the stars to catch them."
Oh, I love that.
So that was one of the things that years ago I put on one of my business cards. But to your point of what you just read, and Taurus rules more the present moment. Like Tauruses don't like to rush past the conversation. They want to get dessert. They want to savor the butternut soup. They want to really drink in the moment. They don't want to be rushed through an emotional experience, whether it's lovemaking or what they're picking out and buying at the store. So I'm reminded by what you just said with the artistic card that you just read and interpreted, that, and forgive me, whoever the original author of this is, I know you all have heard it, but it brought to mind, today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So each day, if we can stay present and not just shove down or ignore or allow our enthusiasm to be overwhelming, or allow our frustration to be overwhelming, if we can really say, today is a blank canvas. I may have taken into my dreams last night, or I may have been a little frustrated or a little scared, or like, oh boy, I got to face the music tomorrow. Oh boy, I got to deal with that. Oh, I got a report to turn in, or oh my God, the numbers, I got to get the budget balance, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to bed and it starts to try to steal our sleep. There's another part of us that can kind of really come into the present of like, this is the sweet time of the night. This is where my physical earthly temple wants to have that hot bath or that quick shower. If I'm having trouble, if I've lost my sleep, maybe I'll go have the little cookie and some warm milk, or maybe I'll have some hot tea. Taurus is about, okay, if you're sitting there ruminating and your eyes are blink, 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 and you can't go to sleep, go do something that worked for you when you were a young child that your nana or your mama or your grandma or your aunt or your parents did when you were troubled as a child and you'd had a bad dream or you couldn't go to sleep or your ankle hurt or whatever it was? What was the nurturing ceremonial doodah that they did to make you feel secure and comforted? For me, it was always if I had a softy blanket. I love softy blankets. I still buy them to this day. I love to go get one of those softy blankets, and I'll always buy a king size so I can cocoon up in it if I want to and include my dog or whatever. I love to have a little softy blanket on the couch. And the color magic of it. Maybe one year I want it to be navy, another year I might want it to be winter white or vibrant purple or a very neutral gray. But go out and buy yourself a softy blanket. Like they're under like $20 at most big box stores. Go get yourself a new little acrylic polyester fleece little lap thrower blanket. It's amazing how that can be kind of like
I think you can get them for $10 at Costco, and they're nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Yeah, that's right. If you got a Costco or a Sam's next to you, I mean, even the big box store the other day had a king size for under $19. I'm like, oh yeah, that's happening. And I like to give them as gifts because I was looking at the eclipses being in Taurus and Scorpio, and they're all nice and rolled up, and you can put them in a gift bag and put some tissue on it. And like, here, I wanted to bring, so give something, the homemade carrot cake, the butternut soup, you make it well, put it together in some Tupperware or some nice mason glass jars and give that as a gift to your friend or your neighbor, and they go home and they don't have to cook, and they have a dessert, and they have a softy blanket, and it doesn't just have to be, it's a sweet spot. It's a physical body, tangible gift that keeps on giving, and it doesn't have to just be the pressure of their birthday or Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa. It's just like, because you're in my life, I just wanted to give you this. I just wanted to give you this.
Mm-hmm.
I just thank you for being in my life. I think we need to do more of attitudes of gratitude, and it was very popular in the 90s, random acts of kindness, paying it forward. That really needs to come back, because I can tell you with the planet of transformation, Pluto shifting into Aquarius next year, and the eclipses swirling around in that very yang, masculine energies, the Aries, the Libra, the Aquarius dynamics that are happening. When we get into the second month of 2024, rolling into the Aries time, the springtime of April of 2024, we're going to be bolder. We're going to look back to now when we're shedding some skins, when we're emerging out of the eggshell, we're coming out of the cocoon. We are rising like the phoenix and saying, that was me then, and this is me now. I finally let that go. I finally stopped blaming someone else externally in my life, and I took responsibility with me and my God to not only transform my attitude and myself, but to be supernaturally transformed by the power of the I am. So I would rather, instead of going around complaining and criticizing, and they ripped me off, and they weren't fair, and they stole that car from me, or they went on, blah, 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 they did all, no. If I'm going to rebuke anything, I'm going to rebuke the energetic signatures that are draining my vital life force that was handed to me, and life was breathed into me. So I'm not complacent about that anymore. Who knows how long we have on this earth walk, but I have made the commitment with the Great Spirit and the Almighty I Am. I'll set boundaries, make no mistake about it. Nobody's just going to come in and bully me and attack me and try to take from me. But I, by nature, am a giver. I do these podcasts as a tithe. You hope that you get supported and sustained by readings and retreat response and all that. Every podcast I'm doing, I'm not getting paid for. And people ask me all the time, are you getting paid? I said, no, I show up with the host and we do this. And maybe they're getting monetized by YouTube and maybe they're not. But we have a collaborative effort to support and to give to those that are tribe in our community. So yeah, I show up pro bono. Nicole is showing up. And if you support her and you support me, then the medicine and the magic goes forward out there, right? And there's a reason why it says, even in all the ancient translations of the Bibles and the different religious manuscripts all over the world, it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. I like to give. There's a lot of people, it's like, oh, I'm cheap. It's free. Oh, if it's free, I'll do it. It's like, no, I like to give. But make no mistake about it, no one's going to take advantage of my time, and no one's going to expect me that I owe them and I have to give to them all the time, because I lay my head down on the pillow every night happy that I buy sunflower seeds no matter what my budget is to feed the deer and the squirrel and the turkeys, and my animals show up. And I don't waste any food. That's Taurus. I don't waste any food. Any scraps I had from a restaurant, if they're going to throw them away, they're coming home for me, and I put them out in nature. Whatever eats it, the blue jay, the crow, I don't care. The skunks, I don't have a war with any of them. I can tell you, in the country, we call it the best free security system you can have. Feed skunks. Ain't nobody going to come rob you in your back door. I've got seven skunks. I'm a country girl. I've got 7 skunks outside my back door every night. The most vulnerable door of this domain, I've got skunks out there feeding. I can open the door. How you doing, Pepe Le Pew? I mean, they don't run from me. They don't raise their tail to spray me because I'm just tossing out some seeds or some bread or some dry dog food, and they eat well, and they show up every night. And if anybody else comes up to that back door, well, you know what? You're going to get busted because you smell. Yeah, you're not going to run away too far, buddy. So any of those predators or any of those people that think, oh, that's a nice place, I'm going to go over there because it's just woods behind my house and dark. It's like, sucks to be you. I've got the best free security system that my Mother Nature can provide. Yeah. And don't think it wouldn't freak out somebody, but I've got like 6 deer and possums and skunks, and I've got like 8 raccoon out there going, hey, welcome to the Mystics Nocturnal Buffet. Yeah, I spend money for that. I spend my money because I'm tithing back to this planet that feeds me and sustains me. I give back to Mother Nature every day, all the time. There's no need just to throw that food away. There's no need, not when it can be consumed by, we humans keep infringing on their habitat in their neighborhood. So you know what? I'm going to give back to them. And you know what? They show up, and there's a lot of blessings that come that way. And if you ever go into animal medicine and you ever go into, I saw, like today in the bathtub, there was a cricket, and it was trapped in this big, deep hot tub bathtub. And I'm like, oh, I'll get you. And I grabbed it and I took it outside, and it's just like it hopped into a plant. And it's like, oh my God, I don't have to starve to death today. Most people would have said, ew, it's a cricket, stomp it. No, Spirit showed it to me. And so now later tonight, because I don't have that memorized, I know it's revered in the Oriental cultures, I'm going to go online and I'm going to type in on DuckDuckGo, what are the benefits and what are the meanings of the creature teacher totem? What is the medicine when you see a cricket? Because it's past cricket season here. It's getting cold. It's past cricket season. But I know that was a sign and a wonder, and I'm going to look it up, and I'll bet you that when I go look it up, because it's always the truth, that's a very significant medicine or healing that's applicable at this time. So do you want me to go through the science real quick and give them the themes?
Yes. I do. We're a good 90 minutes in now, so I think it's time to get to
I'm going to make this quick. Yeah, I'm going to make this quick because I want you to keep focused on what the overarching theme is. It's going to just be a sentence. It's just going to be half a sentence, because I'm telling you that this Taurus eclipse, this lunar eclipse, and the solar eclipse we had in Libra, your bigger message is where you have those signs in your particular star map, your own birth star map that's unique only to you, your celestial photograph. And so when you talk to an astrologer like myself or Nicole, or you think you can figure it out yourself, when you go to one of these Astro Cafe or astroseek.com or whatever, good. Type in your birth date and learn. I encourage that. But if you want to get the answer fast, then you pay a professional like myself or Nicole and a plethora of experienced astrologers out there. So if you are a Taurus, then this eclipse, now we're talking about the full moon. We're not talking about where the sun is right now. This eclipse is in your first house. So it's yourself and it's your personality. So you are personally undergoing the Phoenix rapid fire changes. Absolutely. If you're a Scorpio, which is the balance sign to Taurus, and where the sun is right at the eclipse, from October 23rd forward, this is in your sunset realm of your life. It's relationships. It's every significant other that you are collaborating with. So it's not just your lover. It's not just your marriage partner. It's got to do with whoever is significant in your life, even if that's the Amazon representative that you're talking to that screwed up the order. That becomes a significant thing. If you're an Aries, it's a second house vibration. Taurus rules the second house of what we decide is a priority. So Aries right now is looking at what is a priority investment of my skills, my time, how's my money doing? Do I feel like I've got a drought going on financially? So Aries people that I know are relocating or traveling or trying something new because they want to do a stimulus of feeling more secure. Remember, Taurus is the main frame is what would make me feel more secure. So Taurus people, like I said, they're looking at their image, how they present themselves, how they look, what they like, their skin, their hair, their clothing to be, where Aries is looking at it on the material. Am I paying my bills? Do I feel bad about that? Am I stressed about that? If I have some money invested, maybe I need to liquidate something and free up some money and buy some things that are stable for my shelves as I come into the hurricane, tropical season, or earthquake happened, or whatever. So Taurus is all about self and what they want to do, but Aries right now are saying, I need to get really specific and down to earth with how I'm doing financially, and I need to be really honest with myself about, even though I tried this or that, what's working and what isn't. And if you're a Libra, it's very mystical. There could be something leaving your life, Libra. It could be the actual physical death of someone or something, or the death, a sudden shift of where you live or where you work, or it could be like you just got to let go of something and sell it. And that money that you get from something that held such supercharged memories is now going to help you move forward into a new, brighter, enthusiastic chapter. If you're a Gemini, it's everything behind the scenes. It's a 12th house kind of a thing. So I always see the 12th zone that Gemini is going through over the next 30 days about where are you of service and what do you need, what seems to be a sacrifice. Where might you be sacrificing your time a little bit longer than you thought you would? Where might you help your community? Where might you give an encouraging word? So for Gemini right now, it's how are you an encouragement cheerleader, a life guide, a life coach, enthusiastic, compliment instead of criticize, give that encouraging word, help someone have an uplifted moment or laugh, help someone laugh, put a real innocuous sense of humor in there so you brighten their day. If you're a Sagittarius, it's time to really fix whatever's going on health-wise. So you go to the chiropractor, or you go to the health food store, or you do some fasting, or you do some alternative ways of healing, and that might be Delta 8, and that might be cannabis, and that might be CBD oil, and it might be you start cooking with some healthier oils. But with Sagittarius right now, the next 30 days are focused on your physical temple's wellness. So I would strongly suggest you back off of the processed fast food if you're a Sagittarius and really get into one ingredient foods. An apple, an orange, a banana, a steak. Go with just, try to look at what nutrients and minerals and vitamins that you're getting. You got 30 days to really do an assessment of how your physical health is doing. If you're Cancer the Crab, it's about meet and greets. It's about planning 6 months or 7 months ahead to do with where you want to travel, the people that you want to be around, where can you come together as both student and teacher or comrade in arms. I think for the next 6 months, if you're born in that summer solstice sign of Cancer the Crab, it's about really coming to terms with what a real friend is and what a real ally is. So like it's Robin Hood. One for all and all for one. That's what's going on with Cancer the Crab. If you're a Capricorn, it's your grandchildren, it's your children, it's anyone that inspires you. You flip on the TV and all of a sudden that evangelist or that rabbi or that song or that dance, and you're like, I'm going to go take a dance class. I'm going to go take some yoga. I'm going to learn Reiki. I'm going to learn how to plant tomatoes that really rock all summer long. So for Capricorn, it's very practical. And maybe if you're an older Capricorn, you're teaching that child or that grandchild or that niece or that nephew or that cousin, this is how I do my herb garden. So teaching some ancient ways to someone younger than you and just watching that pearl of wisdom and that seed, that you have impacted someone younger than you in an incredible way for the rest of their life. If you're a Leo speaking about a Phoenix, Leo people, if you got Leo strong in your chart, you're on some kind of comeback. Leos went through a real tough time when they came through their birthday cycle this year. That July-August time frame for Leo was a bit of a strain. There's been some Taurian planets that have been fighting with Leos, and there's been some different things that have challenged them back in April and May with that Scorpio full moon. So it's like Leos have already gone through that rite of passage of where they have to bury something, they have to let something go that they were still enjoying, that they thought was still going to be viable in their life. And now they're really looking at what they might have been glossing over or taking for granted. And there's a renewed sense of commitment and camaraderie that's going on with Leo and the people that they care about. If you're an Aquarius, somebody may be leaving the nest. You may be relocating. It may be that you're totally redesigning, or there's someone that's coming in from a foreign place, or the Aquarians out there, but I know they're ready for a complete makeover in their world. Now, some of those Aquarians will take the ball and embrace therapy and really take a deep dive into psychological and inspirational transformations. That's easy for an Aquarian to do. But on a physical, material Taurian kind of level, it's going to be like, okay, I'm done with antiques. I want to go modern, or I'm getting rid of that modern furniture and giving it to my relatives, and I want to do a whole reset in my home base. Like they're needing something of a creative fire, like they need the phoenix of creativity. And finally, if you're a Virgo, this is the time where you're really getting new philosophical PowerPoints. Virgos are really enhancing their mind and beginning to see that in the negotiation and in the process of cutting a deal or finishing a deal, or where they're going to travel and what they want to experience. I have a lot of Virgo people that I know right now saying, I want to experience my life. It's time for me to just get out there and adventure. So they're seeking that adrenaline rush, but it's not just the adrenaline rush of a job well done, or they've been working as a nurse for 20 years, and that's a lot to be respectful of. But Virgos that I'm talking to are really wanting to finally close some chapters on areas of their lives that were painful in their childhood or not easy, and it kind of traveled along with them for the last 20 to 30 years. A lot of Virgos that I'm dealing with are like, you know what, I'm finishing that, and now I'm going to start a whole new garden in my life. And finally, if you're a Pisces, it's third house. And so the third house has a lot to do with who can you connect with, who can you reach out to, who could give you the definitive message on your medical situation, or how to detox from an addiction, or the real estate agent, or the lawyer, or the contractual expert that you're going to write a book, or you're going to publish this. So Pisces really need to shut up and listen to the experts that Spirit's wanting to bring around them. But I would say, instead of roasting one of the 12 signs like we normally do on the show, like Nicole always laughs and says, okay, Mary,
because last time it was Pisces that got roasted. So don't roast Pisces.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I want to kind of put the hammer down a little bit, and I want to lean in a little bit on Sagittarius and say, listen, don't take any kind of health scenarios lightly. It's time for you, even if you just do it for 30 days, I'd like to see you fast and go on more of a healthier food regime, and just check in with you. How's your energy? How's your sleep? How's your weight? Don't shame or blame yourself. If you're too thin or you're too heavy, don't go into that, oh my God, I've let myself go. Don't do that. Just kind of just be an open-minded skeptic. Like, that sounds like an oxymoron, but I want you to really, instead of just going, oh my God, I've let myself go, I'm sleeping too much, or I'm not sleeping enough, stop the criticism and just start taking action. So I guess if I would say to one sign, I would say to Sagittarius, you do so much for a lot of people, and you're very quiet and stealth in how you go behind the scenes and how you care for who you care for. I just like to see you maybe put some self-care into your own body, your own mind, in your own ceremonial, prayerful times. It's time for Sagittarius to get in touch with the deepest aspects of themselves aligned with Spirit.
Well, that wasn't a roast. That was just a little flicker of a candle.
Right. Yeah, nobody needs to get roasted this month. If anything,
I know the eclipse isn't going to do a good enough job.
Well, and Spirit wanted me to suggest something to you, and you're the one that's got more technical savvy than me. I feel like as we maybe come closer to 2024, maybe we can figure out a way that your beloved audience, your sacred, loyal audience that's growing every day, aho, amen. Maybe there's a way that they could have a phone line to call in, and maybe we could give them some specific intuitive insights. I love call-in shows. So if there's a way they could do that, I'd like us to do that.
You guys in the audience, you let me know in the comments so Mary can see them later, if you'd like to do that, and then we'll figure that out. We'll figure out a way to make it happen, because where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely, and I think that would be a nice way for us to. I know that they light up your chat room and all that, but I just think that it would be a nice, even if we do it once a season, even if we had a way that they could call in around winter solstice, and then it's spring, or So I want it to be easy on Nicole, folks. Now I want it to be easy on Nicole, but she and I are, and I'm going to say this boldly, she and I are experienced enough that we could go live on a full moon. We could do that. We could do that, and we could, if there's a way that we can take calls that doesn't cost her money, if there's a way that we could do that, and you can support her and support myself, that we can do that. I'd love for us to be able to, intermittently at least, be able to actually let you have a number that you could call in and ask myself a question and Nicole, and just let that live experience happen, because that's when we have our tonal qualities, our voices. There's a communion that happens with that. And it's always a popular thing. It's a really popular, I know chat rooms are popular, but there's something about you picking up your phone and you're next on the line with Nicole and Mary. There's just something about it. The other shows that I do, they're call-in shows, and when they call back and they have tears of joy, or there's just something about when they hear your voice on the replay, as you're hearing this, but there's just something about it whose spirit allows to get through on that call, kind of a thing it's its own type of, in the moment, the present, the gift of the moment. There's a different kind of elixir that happens, and those callers and their questions, Nicole, end up being a message for all of us.
Oh yes,
including
I agree.
me.
No, it's very helpful.
Including me and Nicole. It's synchronistic. It's very synchronistic. So I love you, audience. Thank you for your attention and time. Please continue to support Nicole. She and I have connected by the grace and the sovereignty of our spirits and our soul. We were sisters before. We know that. We're here to support and help you. And I'm grateful for you. Do the best you can do with your soul star, because the world needs us now. So pray every day, meditate, make a difference with the corners of your mouth turned up.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mary. And for anyone who'd like
You're
to
welcome.
book a session with Mary, I'm going to leave all of the links for her website, marydusina.com, down below, so that you can book a session with her. And of course, if you need any healing or guidance through oracles or channeled coaching, whatever it is, you can book with me as well. And don't forget, as I mentioned at the beginning, I am hosting a live event on the Taurus lunar eclipse 2 hours before the eclipse actually happens, so that we can all be in the energies as the moon becomes super full. The Awakening the Mystic call. It is a shamanic journey, a passage through the Taurus full moon eclipse. So if you're interested in awakening the mystic within you, clearing any ancestral past life karma that might be holding you back from embracing the mystic that you are in this lifetime, we're going to take you through different healings. We're going to do a very meditative shamanic journey that's guided, and there's going to be Q&A and all of that. So if you're interested, the link for that is in the description below. I'd love to have you there. And Mary, I hope you have a wonderful lunar eclipse. Speaking to all the animals in your backyard, we're sending them all love. And I can just see you standing on your 3rd floor, speaking to the moon.
Lighting my sage and casting my wishes into the stars, into the heavens. As above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven. Amen.
I love it. And with that, I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.